All right, here we go. The watch list video for Wednesday, October 10th. As most of you in chat know, I am only working the mornings for most of October because of all the chaos, with which I will reveal what it is in a couple weeks, because I know everyone's wondering what the heck's going on, why I'm so busy. But enough about that. The SPY ended up closing about where it opened today. Real quick before I go into the video, I want to talk a little bit about my favorite part of the chat room that I created back in 2004, and it's got very little to do with me or anything that I get credit for, right? So I worked the morning today, right? And I'm going to throw this over real quick. I had an okay day. These are some of my trades from today, right? I had an okay day, but nowhere near what I could have had I been around all day, and I'll show you why. So I come back in the afternoon because I'm in and out. I'm really busy. I come back in the afternoon, and you know, if you're like me, and you leave your office or whatever, but you've got to go do something, but you know you're going to be back before the closing bell. You don't close anything, right? You leave all your charts up, you leave the chat room open, you leave your trading platform open. I've been out getting a sandwich and coming in place to trade if something was setting up perfectly, right? So if you're like me, the first thing you do when you get home or back to your office, wherever that is you go straight to the screens to see if anything's setting up, right? So I do that, and I see everybody celebrating NIO. Now, I had called NIO earlier, so I'm going to slide this over and show you. I called NIO right here this morning. I think it was 621, and it ended up going up to 640, pulled back and a little bit higher, right? But this is my favorite thing about the chat room. So I'm gone, and Jane gives a head up right here. I think it's 640 when she posts it, right? It's already on everybody's charts, already on the watch list from our overnight list. She gets people involved here, and look at that move. And by the way, in after hours, pretty sure this thing's trading up well over $8 now. But it was cool because I came home and I see, you know, people talking about NIO, and so then I type in, "You guys are amazing. Just got back to see y'all, got involved," and my favorite thing about the room, you know, I might be the least important part of the room. The teamwork in there is fantastic, and anytime I see that, especially when I'm gone, I have to give you guys credit because I love watching everybody work together. So now let me go into the list for tomorrow. The SPY opened here and basically up, down, and closed right about where it opened. Kind of a weird day. But what are we watching tomorrow? I'm going to watch NIO, obviously. Huge day, closing at its highs. It's another one of those examples, by the way, where when you see a close like this and you got good news kind of close to the closing bell, I don't want to say more often than not because there could be like an offering, right? But you kind of got to gauge by the news and the chart and everything. A lot of these gap, they run in after hours too. And so, like I said, this went up to, I don't know, 8:30 or something in after hours. Rolling over a little bit now, it's at 797. But amazing. So I don't know what it's going to do tomorrow. You know, usually when you get a big move and then you get a gap up in after hours, it's not the best play the next day, but it absolutely has to be on a chart, all right? OHGI, nice little breakout on massive volume today. We're going to see if we get some kind of red to green or something like that tomorrow. Now this is maybe a goofy idea of a QTT, which really doesn't have anything to do with NIO. NIO is an electric car maker, and I think the news was a Tesla investor has like an 11% stake in NIO. I think that just came out. Double check that though, because I just saw that posted either on Twitter, chat, or both. So don't go by me. I didn't verify it, but that's what is popping NIO from what I could tell. QTT is not an electric car maker, but QTT and NIO, if you look at both daily charts, they both are Chinese public, relatively new public companies, where they just came out with their IPOs, right? You can see it. There's NIO and QTT. I don't know if it was the same day. I can't remember if they were one day right after another. Anyway, they were really close. And this is how stupid the market can be. Sometimes people will say, "Hey, these both Chinese companies, both IPO'd, you know, at the same time. Maybe QTT is next." And I know that sounds stupid, and I'm not suggesting QTT is going to run. But it also has a fairly decent chart as far as it's kind of seemed like it's bottomed here. Had this pop up to almost 8 back here. Had the same thing yesterday. And actually, as I'm talking, I look at after hours, it's trading at 782. So this thing over 8 might be worth a shot. Again, it's not a sympathy play, a pure sympathy play, which would be a stock in the same space. But the market's goofy enough that maybe this is worth watching tomorrow too. How's that for a summation? SAEX got this big pop intraday and then pulled back, but didn't round trip. So it kind of closed a little bit below the middle of this huge pop, right? The middle of the range of the huge pop that it had today. It also had a pop yesterday. So you know, it's beaten up, but it does like to get big moves at times. I'm going to have it on a chart. I don't look at that daily chart and think it's pretty, so don't think I do, but I do think it's worth having on watch. OHRP, trying to break out here. Long base, popped the other day, but then today closing at its highs, pretty close to its highs on big volume. I would note that the 200 days right there, but it's got a great base below, so this might have a continuation day tomorrow. DTEA got a nice intraday pop. Look at that, huge move, and then just kind of spent the rest of the day grinding in kind of a flag pattern. I do think it's worth watching tomorrow. EARS had I called this breakout at 50 cents yesterday, 51 cents I guess, 50 through that 50 seller, and it went all the way to almost 85 cents. Today you got a much lower volume, what I call a quiet inside day. I'm going to watch it again for one of our potential third day plays. AMMA, not in love with this, but I had this pop back here, then a lower high, then on this day, which was 3 sessions ago, it broke above this lower high briefly, pulled right back into support, and then today closing at its highs. I'm going to point out that today, and it's a 33-cent stock, only traded 1.3 million shares, so I don't like this at all really, but I'm going to watch it because it does have good support, and it looks like it might be trying to turn back up again. Probably my least favorite from the list. Believe it or not, this NBEV, if you watched my video last night, I drew these lines just to show you the range it's been in the last week or so, right? Basically from here to here. Today, now it's a 4th red day in a row, it lost this range to the downside, but you kind of have a gap fill or close to a gap fill here, and you have the 20-day. You have definitely a recent high flyer. If the pot stocks get moving again, this is a great candidate. I love this after this many days down. Volume's kind of declining a little bit now. A great potential, even though it looks kind of ugly, great potential for a bounce tomorrow. So that one's on watch. And then lastly, TRPX, kind of the same thing as NBEV, right? Had this huge pop back here, and now 3 days lower, hit the 200-day from above, hit the 20-day from above, but closed kind of in the middle of its range. So you did kind of have already an intraday bounce. You can see, looking at 5-minute candles, it almost looks like paint splatter, right? Not clean candles, and that's a sign of a thinner, lower volume stock. And then you go back to the daily and you say, yeah, he's right. It only traded 350,000. But if that space gets moving, I think this is a good candidate to watch. That's it. It's not a huge list going into tomorrow, but there's stuff just coming out of the woodwork as far as nice setups, and trading's been really, really good. So I'm going to leave the list at that. We'll add gappers to that in the pre-market. If you haven't watched one of my videos in a while, or you haven't been in the chat, or maybe you're not even a member, look at the link down below, because we've created a very, very inexpensive way to get into our room and actually learn what group trading is all about, and learn some proper setups and that sort of thing. $79 gets you in the room now, which it used to be much, much more just to get involved. So check that link out below. I'm done babbling. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Have a good night.